Hi everyone, thanks for clicking on the video. What I'm going to be doing today is trying to decide what works best for me with this bow as far as stabilizers are concerned. So as you know, with my Proforce build, I'm pretty much getting to the point now where I'm just about ready to start actually shooting the bow properly. I've got the arrows. Hopefully on Sunday I'll get them cut to length, and then I'll be able to build them up next week and start shooting the bow properly the following Saturday. So one of the things that I'm asking myself at the moment is, do I want to use a sidebar as my rear bar, or do I want to go with a VBar setup? Now, I will say that currently, with no stabilizers on the bow, when I'm at full draw, it does feel to me like the bow is wobbling like this. So I'll exaggerate it a bit, left to right like that, but very, very, very slightly. So that's kind of what I'm going to be trying to stop, so that the bow's sitting a lot more stable and still in my hand. So on the table I have the sidebar setup that I was using on my carbon spider, and I also have a inexpensive VBar setup made by Infotech. It's called the Crux. Now I'm pretty sure Infotech is a subsidiary of Cartel, I'm not sure. They're actually for my recurve bow, so they'll do in a pinch to give me an idea of how it feels to have a VBar setup on this bow, but if that's what I decide to go with, I may not actually use the Crux stabilizer specifically. I don't know, it's just one of those things. So the idea here today is that it will just give me a bit of an idea of what feels better on the bow. So I'm gonna put the VBar setup on first, draw the bow to full draw, try and hold on the target, see how it all feels, and then after that I'll do the sidebar setup, do the same thing. And of course then you're going to be playing with weights as well to make sure the bow actually balances in your hand properly as well. So this video will have a fair bit of fast forwarding as I attach things to the bow, because I'm sure you guys know how to do that. As far as playing around with the weights and stuff is concerned, I'm not sure that's going to be in this video specifically. I'm just really trying to get a rough idea of a good starting point. So without further ado, I'll bring the camera over to the table and I will install the VBar setup to start off with. So for the VBar setup, I've got the two 10-inch rear bars and a 30-inch front bar. I've got a few weights here that I can put onto the bars as well, just to help out a little bit. And I do have the VBar block that goes on the bow. So with the Hoyt Proforce, it does have a rear bar setup bushing just down the bottom here at the bottom of the riser. So that's where I'm going to be installing this to start off with. Alright, so I've got the VBar installed on the bow with no weights on it at the moment. So I'll put an arrow in, draw the bow back, and just have a look and see what it feels like. Whether or not that wobble has been quietened down. The first thing I noticed straight away though as well is that it's definitely a lot heavier than my carbon spider, so that will take a little bit of getting used to. Alright, so that side-to-side wobble that I was talking about is pretty much all gone. The V-bars don't stick out too far, they're not getting in my way. They feel pretty good actually. So I'll grab another arrow and just have another draw, and we'll feel what that feels like again. So this time what I'm going to be trying to concentrate on is where the bow feels like it wants to move in my hand as far as its balance is concerned. So it feels to me like the bow wants to go that way a little bit. So if I know I said I wasn't going to play with the weights too much in this video, and I really don't plan to, but in the interest of science, we'll whack one on the front, draw the bow again, and just see how much of a difference that made. So it feels pretty good. Just chucking some weights on to see if it makes any difference. The one thing I do notice is the shape of the grip on this bow does make it just want to settle in your hand really nicely compared to the grip on the Carbon Spider. So we'll grab this last arrow. Now I've got weights on the back, both back bars equally weighted, and a little bit of weight on the front. That kind of felt the best so far. What I might do as a blind comparison is take these off, put the sidebar setup on, and just see, while the VBar setup is fresh in my mind, what it feels like to have the sidebar on instead. Alright, so I've got the Bee Stinger sidebar setup on just as it came off of my Carbon Spider. So 3 ounces of weight on the front and 9 ounces of weight on the back. It's a 30-inch front bar, 12-inch rear bar. And again, I'm just going to draw it up and see how it feels. First thing you can see as well is the whole bow wants to tilt over to that side, and that's because of all the weight on this rear bar. I think I have a soft spot in the target again. Right, so the way that that feels is obviously with the weight being where it is and nothing on that side, it kind of wants to pull over to the left a little bit. And I have actually read somewhere online, maybe it was a video, I'm not sure, that Rio Wild likes to have his bow a little bit off balance so that he has to be active in the shot as far as bringing the bow back onto target is concerned. But I mean, the sight on this bow is a lot lighter than the Hogfather that's on the Carbon Spider, which means I probably don't need as much weight on this side to balance out the sight. So I guess one thing I could do is try to bring this weight more in line with the bow and have a look and see how that balances in the hand. So let's do that quickly. So straight away that just wants to hang with the bubble perfectly level. A little bit front heavy, as you can see. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. So I'll draw another arrow and we'll have a look. Apologies about my voice. I'm still sick. I know I said that in the last, or one of the last videos as well. Just can't seem to shake it at the moment. So let's have a look and see how this feels. Now the balance of that feels really nice. If nothing else, it seems to be even less wobbly or even more stable than the VBar setup I had on there. Whether or not it's because it's just a whole bunch of extra weight, I don't know. You know, I was kind of hoping it'd be a case of I put one on, I try it, I put the other one on, I try it, and it's clearly just boom, that's the one that I've got to use. Clearly that's not the case. Looks wise, I'm thinking I like the way that the sidebar looks compared to using a VBar setup. I mean, if I'm honest with myself, it's definitely one of those things where it's probably a good idea to put it on and shoot it like that for a while, see what you think, then put the other one on, shoot it like that for a while, see what you think, see how your scores compare, and then make a decision instead of spending, you know, half an hour in the backyard trying to aim at a target to figure out what it is that you want. One thing I'll tell you though, this is heavy. So what I'm going to be doing today, for the interest of satisfying my own curiosity, is shooting 5 ends with the rear bar setup and 5 ends with a VBar setup, scoring each one and seeing which one scores the best. So we scored 135 out of 150. With the current state of the bow, the setup, new sight, the dot instead of the pin, the arrows not being sighted in properly and all of that stuff, it's a baseline anyway. So I know that I'm capable of shooting better scores than that with a bow that's set up properly. So I'm going to put the VBar setup on the bow. We'll shoot those 5 ends again and just compare and see how things are. Alright, so I've got the VBar setup on the bow now, and we'll shoot the 5 ends to compare that to the sidebar setup. Now I know I've been waffling on a little bit in this video about comparing the two and seeing which one's better, and don't worry, I'm not under any illusion that shooting 5 ends with each setup is going to give me the perfect answer to what I should be shooting. Really, this video is just about seeing whether or not there is any actual significant difference by slapping a different set of stabilizers on the bow. So One thing I did do with both of the stabilizer setups was make sure that they are fairly balanced in the hand. So when I hold the bow out with this one, the bubble's sitting pretty much in the center. As you can see, this side of the VBar has slightly more weight on it than that one, and I needed to do that in order to bring it back to level again, because it was leaning over that way a fair bit with the same amount of weight on both sides. So let's shoot this and see if it does actually make a difference or not. So with a single sidebar, basically we ended up shooting a 135 out of 150, and with the VBar setup on the bow, we ended up shooting a 140 out of 150. So I don't think that that's really enough of a night and day difference for me to go one is better than the other. I think it's definitely going to be a case of putting one on the bow, shooting it for a while, and then putting the other one on the bow, shooting it for a while, and seeing which one ends up working better and feeling more comfortable. The other thing that I could also try is redistribution of the weight on the single bar setup. Then again, you can also try redistribution of the weight on the VBar setup. I had no idea it was going to be this difficult to try and figure out which one works better. Maybe it's just a case of the way that I've got everything set up at the moment isn't tuned enough for me to actually notice much of a difference. So that's pretty much where I am at this stage. A very non-scientific way of trying to figure out which one works better, and finding out at the end of it that neither of them are really that much better than the other. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a like or a comment below. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and click on the little bell icon so that you can receive a notification each time I upload a new video. I hope you all have a great week, and remember, just do good shots.